You've probably never heard of To-Go, but 50 million people once couldn't live without it. On feature phones with expensive data, in markets where internet was still a luxury, To-Go had 20 million daily active users, and even Facebook couldn't match it. No marketing, no venture capital, no global brand, just word of mouth. People didn't just use it, they were addicted to it. They stayed up all night. They spent money they didn't have. They met the people they'd marry on it. Most people outside Africa have never heard of To-Go, and most people inside Africa have already forgotten it. This is the story of how WhatsApp destroyed a $100 million social network, how two university students built something extraordinary, how they turned down investors, how they created a cultural phenomenon that shaped an entire generation's first experience with the internet, and then lost it all. Let's go back to the beginning. The year is 2006. The iPhone doesn't exist yet. Facebook is still limited to college students. And in South Africa, two university students named Alan Wolf and Ashley Peter are sitting in their dorm room at the University of the Witwatersrand in Johannesburg. They were computer science students, and they were stressed. Not about exams, but about logistics. Checking results, knowing the exact venue for lectures, knowing the exact time for lectures. Timetables were messy. Students spent hours just figuring out where they were supposed to be. Alan and Ashley decided to fix it. They built a simple mobile website that helped them track their next class, what time, which building, which course. It wasn't fancy, but it worked. They shared it with their close friends. Their friends loved it and shared it with their own friends. Then it hit them. What if people could actually talk on here? At the time, SMS was expensive. Chatting via SMS was a no-go for undergraduates because it would consume so much airtime. So, Alan and Ashley transformed their little timetable site into a messaging platform. What was supposed to be a 3-month project carried out during their university holiday soon snowballed into something they could not have imagined. On March 1st, 2007, the first official version of To-Go was launched. Within the first day, they had over 100 users from within their university alone. By the end of the week, they hit 1,000 users. 2 weeks later, they noticed their little university project had gradually spread from Johannesburg to the Western Cape. It showed no signs of stopping. At this point, Alan and Ashley's focus totally shifted from their academics. They solely focused on growing their startup. In Ashley's words, Alan and I slowly completed university, and we began to focus on To-Go more and more as it generated more money, and we noticed more and more users. Investors started knocking on their door. They wanted a bite of this fast-growing tech startup. But Alan and Ashley politely declined all forms of external funding. They kept a lean team of just 8 people. They paid themselves the bare minimum. They were frugal in their spending, investing their time, energy, and profits back into building the company. As time went by, Alan completed his degree and could dedicate all of his time to To-Go. They approached Alan's father to rent an office space, promising to pay him back when the business went global. Seeing the burning passion in the eyes of the two young men, Mr. Wolf agreed. Having their own office space gave them the chance to be more creative and organized. But it also made them realize something crucial. Despite being technically brilliant, they needed help with the business aspect of things. Fresh out of his MBA program, Mark was brought on in June 2012 as the new director of To-Go. Peter Lockhart also joined the team, bringing years of venture capital experience and strategic thinking. Mark was described as a very energetic person, a quick and strategic thinker. Peter brought deep business acumen. Mark hit the ground running. He started with Google AdWords, but his biggest breakthrough came when he connected with 2 East African bloggers who helped push To-Go in Kenya. At that time in Kenya, the cost of SMS was high. People preferred using their airtime for calls rather than texts. So when To-Go was introduced, it experienced rapid and massive growth. Unfortunately, that growth declined when Kenya revised its SMS pricing model, making text much cheaper. To-Go gradually lost its popularity in Kenya. It was a major setback. The team had to re-strategize. They needed a new market, a bigger market. While they were busy planning how to win back Kenya, They had no idea that Togo was about to experience its biggest breakthrough yet, not in East Africa, but in the most populous nation on the continent. Togo was about to go viral in Nigeria. The year is 2009. The African mobile revolution is underway. But smartphones aren't everywhere yet. Most people use feature phones, cheap, durable devices connected through 2G networks. This is exactly what Togo was built for. It was light, it was fast, it was affordable. You could chat for hours with just a few kilobytes of data. In countries where internet was expensive and slow, this was revolutionary. Ashley Peters saw the potential. "We had Nigeria as a viable market in our mind since 2009, he said. The telecommunications market in Nigeria was growing massively, and it was obvious to us that if we could provide them with a cheap and effective way to communicate and socialize online, we would succeed." And succeed they did. Togo grew in Nigeria without any formal marketing. It grew organically through a simple invite contact feature. It spread like wildfire. The team conducted careful research. They asked what country users were in, what region, what city. Togo really took off in Nigeria when they noticed that users wanted to be able to chat within their university communities. So they did the research and created a chat room for each university in the country. By 2012, Togo had exploded, over 20 million users across Africa. In Nigeria alone, it boasted over 9 million active users. Every day, over 50,000 new users signed up, exchanging more than 7 billion messages monthly. To put that in perspective, Facebook had barely 6 million users in Nigeria at that time. Togo was 1.5 times the size of Facebook in a single country, without spending a single dollar on marketing. But Togo wasn't just a messaging app. It was a cultural phenomenon. It was a lifestyle. The founders introduced chat rooms, vibrant virtual spaces where you could meet people based on interests and locations. There was the romance room, the music zone, Niger Connect, Lover Lounge, gamers, Star Wars, university-specific rooms for every major university in Nigeria. They found business partners. And yes, many found love. There are countless stories of people meeting their spouses in Togo chat rooms. They also introduced Go Credits, a virtual currency you could buy to access premium features and VIP rooms. But perhaps the most brilliant, addictive feature of all was the star level system. Every chat, every connection, every day you logged in earned you points. And those points moved you through ranks. Novice, rookie, amateur, professional, veteran, ultimate. For millions of users, it became more than chatting. It was a competition. Who could climb faster? Who could unlock the next badge? People stayed online longer, chasing the next promotion. They left their phones on away mode all night just to boost their star level. They used their school transportation money to buy MTN scratch cards for data, just to stay on Togo. Think about that for a moment. Not luxury money, not entertainment money. School transportation money. That is what Togo meant to people. It gave Togo the feel of a social game. It turned simple chatting into a digital adventure. Research shows something remarkable. 31% of Togo's Nigerian users didn't watch television, but 66% of them spent 2 or more hours on their phones each day. It was a very sociable society, and Togo supported that sociability perfectly. Togo created its own language, its own celebrities, its own social rules. There were Togo influencers before Instagram influencers were even a thing. People created usernames that became legendary, handles that carried weight, status, and meaning. Your username was your identity. Togo broke the wall between the urban and rural youth. It wasn't just Nigeria, South Africans, Ghanaians, Kenyans, Zimbabweans. Everyone was on Togo. The company had grown to a 7-person business that went from startup to profitability in just 4 years, without ever taking a cent of outside financing, without ever marketing itself. The founders were still in their 20s, running one of Africa's biggest social networks from a small office in Johannesburg. They were generating hundreds of thousands of dollars monthly from Nigeria alone. They partnered with music artists for track downloads through their IRO King partnership. They were untouchable. But behind the scenes, the world was changing. A new wave was coming, and it was about to wash everything away. year is 2013. The smartphone revolution has arrived. Android phones are getting cheaper. That $300 Android phone becomes a $100 phone, then a $50 phone. In Nigeria, Android phones represented just 3.4% of monthly phone sales in September 2012. By June 2013, that number had jumped to 5.2%. In Kenya, which is a more mature Android market, 52% of monthly sales were already Android phones. Millions of Africans upgrade from their feature phones almost overnight. Internet bundles improve. Users now want photos. They want videos. 2Go had been built for text. Simple, light, efficient. But the world was moving to multimedia. And then came WhatsApp. Founded by two ex-Yahoo engineers, WhatsApp was built for smartphones from day one. It was simple, just a way to send messages over data instead of SMS. At first, WhatsApp was small in Africa, but as Android phones flooded the continent, people discovered it. And they realized something crucial. WhatsApp was better. Not better because it had more features. Not better because it was more fun. Better because it was more practical. And in a market where every megabyte cost money, practical was everything. WhatsApp messages arrived instantly. No polling, no waiting, because of push notifications. This alone saved massive amounts of data. 2Go consumed data constantly. It would take 2Go years to finally implement the same technology. By then, it was too late. WhatsApp made it easy to share pictures, voice messages, and videos. 2Go was still primarily text-based. WhatsApp made it effortless to start a group with your classmates, your family, your entire street, all for free. No Go credits, no paywalls, just instant communication. And perhaps most critically, WhatsApp wasn't confined to Africa. Whether you were in Lagos, London, or Lisbon, your phone number was your identity. It was global by design. 2Go tried to fight back. In 2014, they launched an Android version. But instead of rebuilding for smartphones from the ground up, they simply repackaged their feature phone experience. Same small text, same basic menus, same interface designed for tiny screens and limited processing power. In a digital world where looks and experience mattered, 2Go suddenly felt like yesterday's app. It felt outdated. It felt like a children's app. Meanwhile, WhatsApp kept evolving. Faster, cleaner, and more connected. They added voice calls, video calls, end-to-end encryption. In social media, there's only one rule that matters. People go where people already are. And as more and more people switched to WhatsApp, it was only a matter of time before this network effect kicked in. There was also a growing exhaustion among 2Go users. The star level system, which had been so addictive, slowly turned into a grind, leaving phones plugged in all night, batteries overheating, just to climb another rank. It was thrilling at first, but after months, it became empty. Once you hit the top, there was nothing left to chase. WhatsApp offered something different. Freedom. The ability to just talk, anytime, anywhere, without keeping score. While 2Go built a game, WhatsApp built a utility. And in the end, simplicity won. The year is 2015. The decline is visible. Chat rooms that once bustled with thousands of active users now feel empty. You log in and see only a handful of green dots. Those long night conversations are gone. Users didn't leave 2Go overnight. It was gradual. It was painful to watch. They simply started using it less and less as they discovered WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, and later Instagram and Telegram. Imagine logging in to a place that once thrived. Thousands of people in each chat room. Now, silence. A few names here and there. The green dots that meant someone was online had turned gray. The energy was gone. First, the tech-savvy users left. Then the early adopters. Then the mainstream users. Then everyone else. By 2016, the vibrant communities that had formed over years started to dissolve. Many users kept the app installed for months, even years, hoping it would come back. Hoping the magic would return. But it never did. By 2018, 2Go was practically a ghost. The app that once defined African digital youth had faded quietly, without a goodbye. It's easy to look back and say 2Go failed. But that's not the whole truth. There's a part of the To-Go story that almost no one knows. A vision that was bigger than the chat rooms, bigger than the star levels, and bigger than the millions of messages sent every day. To-Go was never meant to be just another chat app. If you used To-Go in its early days, around 2010, you might remember seeing something unusual. Alongside the familiar To-Go interface, there were icons for Yahoo Messenger, for Mxit, and for Facebook. Most users probably never tapped them. Some might have wondered why they were there at all. But those icons were the master plan. To-Go's original ambition was to be the ultimate bridge. The idea was simple but revolutionary. One account on one app, connecting you to every messaging service African teenagers were already using. Years before WhatsApp became the default, Alan and Ashley were quietly building a universal hub. You would log into To-Go, and from there you could talk to anyone, anywhere, on any platform. That was the dream they were building in Johannesburg, while the rest of the world thought they were just running a clever messenger for university students. But building a bridge requires cooperation from both sides. Connecting to MSN required Microsoft's blessing. Bridging to Yahoo required Yahoo's open doors. And integrating Mxit meant working with a direct competitor. It was a beautiful idea, but it never fully materialized at scale. The walled gardens of the internet were already closing. And so, quietly, the dream was abandoned. Sometime between 2012 and 2016, those icons disappeared from the app. The connections were severed. The bridge had become an island. But the team didn't just give up. They knew the smartphone wave was crashing down on them, and they tried to fight back. In 2016, To-Go shipped a massive, desperate redesign. They completely overhauled the look of the app. They introduced dozens of new icons, redrew all their emoticons, and rolled out a brand new global logo. They even changed their web address, moving away from their original South African domain to a global one. They were trying to shed their feature phone past. They wanted to look like a modern, smartphone-era app. That same year, they finally added voice notes, a feature WhatsApp had launched in 2013. 3 years late. In the tech world, 3 years is a lifetime. By the time To-Go's redesign shipped, the audience that would have cared was already gone. They had moved on to platforms that were built for the future, not platforms trying to catch up to the present. This is where the story takes its strangest turn. Even though people have all moved on, you can pick up a phone right now in 2026 and install To-Go. The chat rooms still load. The interface looks almost exactly as it did after that 2016 redesign. The login still works. But if you create a new account today, you will quickly run into something that feels like a relic from another era. To do certain things on the app, you still have to buy Go credits. The exact same virtual currency that drove a generation of Nigerian teenagers to spend their school transportation money 14 years ago is still there. The app is still asking new users to top up their wallets just to access basic features. Think about the messaging apps you use today. WhatsApp dropped its yearly subscription fee a decade ago. Telegram has been free since the day it launched. Even Facebook Messenger doesn't ask you to load a wallet to send a message. But on To-Go, the paywall designed for feature phones in 2010 is still standing in 2026. You could argue that the paywall isn't what killed To-Go. The audience left because of the smartphone shift, the network effect, and the sheer utility of WhatsApp. But the fact that a messaging app in 2026 still requires users to buy credits for basic actions, that is a massive holdback. It's a philosophy from a bygone era, stubbornly refusing to change. To-Go didn't fail because it was a bad product. It failed because it didn't adapt fast enough. It failed because it tried to bring a feature phone mentality into a smartphone world. It failed because it held on to gamification and monetization strategies that users no longer wanted. They were still making the best horse-drawn carriage while everyone else was buying cars. But To-Go's story isn't just a cautionary tale about tech. It's a story about human connection. For a brief moment in time, To-Go was more than an app. It was a gathering place, a second home, a digital space where millions of Africans felt seen, connected, and part of something bigger than themselves. It showed that innovation could come from African universities and succeed globally. It introduced millions of people to the possibilities of the internet. More importantly, To-Go created the foundation for everything that came after. The people who learned to build online communities on To-Go became the early adopters of Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram in Africa. The social behaviors that To-Go established, the way we chat, share, and connect online, still influence how Africans use social media today. Every continent has its own origin stories. In the US, it was MySpace and Facebook. In China, it was QQ. In Africa, it was To-Go. It taught a generation how to connect, how to express themselves, and how technology could belong to them. To-Go is gone now. But what it left behind is not. It left behind memories in every person who stayed up past midnight chasing a star level. Every friendship that started in a chat room and lasted years. Every relationship that began with a username and a green dot. Every young person who felt, for the first time, that the internet was a place that belonged to them. That didn't disappear when the app did. The founders built something that 50 million people wanted to use, without investors, without a marketing budget, without a global brand. 2 students in Johannesburg, a server running on a friend's internet line, and an idea. That matters, not just as a business story, as proof. Proof that African innovation doesn't need Silicon Valley's permission. Proof that the next platform that changes how a continent communicates could start in a dorm room in Port Harcourt, Lagos, or Accra, or Nairobi, or Johannesburg. If you used to go, you know it once meant everything to an entire generation. I want to hear from you. What was your star level? What chat rooms did you live in? Who did you meet there? The real history of To-Go isn't in the numbers or the press releases. It's in the memories of the people who were there. Thanks for watching. This is CID, and I'll see you in the next one.